All right, all that beauty aside of what you've accomplished here.
Okay.
Let's talk politics for a little bit.
Yay.
Do you have a label that you put on yourself?
No, I think I labeled myself a libertarian years ago, and I think a lot of people use that. I forget what moment it was. There was someone asked me, actually someone bombarded me with a question about wealth distribution, redistribution, and I was just really caught off guard, and I didn't know, because I wasn't really at that time, and I would even argue now, well versed in that, right? That taxation is wealth, and that, like, that big push. So I don't know. I just consider myself pretty liberal on things like gay marriage, trans rights in bathrooms, stuff like that, and pretty conservative when it comes to business taxes, things like that.
Yeah.
That's it.
So almost every seemingly sane person that I meet these days says something along those lines. I'm socially liberal and I'm fiscally conservative. Now, of course, there's people on both sides of that disagree.
I think what I've seen myself labeled, like, so a lot of people say I'm a lot of different things. I think the closest thing I've seen is I'm a moderate free speech liberal. That's the closest thing I could be like, okay, I mean, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter, because the moment you put liberal in there, there's a good amount of people that are going to automatically dismiss you, same as there'd be a good amount of people if you said you were a Republican. So that's why I just go like, I don't know.
Yeah. Are you saying I haven't done the perfect job in cleaning up the word liberal? My life's work? Are you saying it didn't convince everyone?
Classical liberal.
It didn't.
New center.
I didn't get there with every single person? Is that what you're telling me?
Never.
I still have work to do?
No one ever.
No one ever.
We'll
gets
find,
there.
and I mean, the words are going to change, the labels are going to change. I don't know. I don't want to stomp down on people's rights, and I don't want the government in every facet of my life, right? That's it.
Yeah.
Right? There's a lot of holes you can poke into a very broad statement like that, but when it comes to generalities, I think that's where I lie. Specific issues, I might have like a weird outlier situation, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah. So I know you voted for Gary Johnson in 2012. Did you publicly say who you
I did not.
voted for this year? You didn't publicly say it.
No, I didn't vote for either of the main two.
But you're also not saying you voted for Gary.
No, I'm not saying.
Yeah. All right. So you don't have to tell
I mean,
me
I
who
was
you voted
disappointed
for, but
by
I'm
Gary
curious.
Johnson as far as like the way he was perceived by the public and his responses to it. I think that if there was ever a chance, and I hate saying it because I've met him. We had him on for the 2012 election. He's one of the nicest guys in the world.
Could not agree more.
So cool.
Yeah.
But I was really disappointed because it ended up being this opportunity for a third party to stand up in some meaningful way, and it felt. You can blame the media all you want. The moments happened, right? You didn't have to take certain things out of context. It just looked bad. It looked like a sideshow, which is really unfortunate because I think there are a lot of like people, a lot of really smart people, a lot of passionate people that believe in that of being a libertarian. The numbers weren't great. The whole perception wasn't great. Will there be a chance in the future? Yes, but it's not going to be in 2020. Everyone's going to be voting hard in 2018, but also 2020.
Yeah. In the month that I've taken off, it seems to me that although I didn't think the chasm could have gotten bigger, it seems like it actually got bigger just even in the month.
Well, what's fun for me is just seeing it's almost like, it feels like the WWE. In a sense, right? There are people rooting for people they didn't think before. Like I saw some of my like super left friends, like for a moment, being pro Bannon on some things, and the same thing with the Attorney General. People just like flip flopping, going issue to issue, throwing out their some misconceptions, some of where they were predisposed on people for this specific issue. And so that's been really, really interesting. I think there's still a lot of people that are hardline, but as far as the people that are a little more center, seeing some of the way that flows has been so interesting.
Yeah. How big do you think the fringes actually are? Because it seems to me we're constantly the conversation is being just driven by the fringes.
I mean,
so just in my last day back
Right.
on, so now it seems like this white nationalist thing is now sort of regained some traction or whatever it is. And I find it hard to figure out, well, do these people have real traction? Is this a real group of people, or is it 5,000 people with no influence, or is this making headway into our political system or any of that. You know what I mean?
I think it's hard to tell because, right, our perception is reality, and I think a lot of people, their perception is that it is like two groups of like not equal size, but everyone's of some sort of extreme, right? So everyone's either Antifa who are attacking people, right, or everyone's a white supremacist that's running people over with their car, right? And there's a lot of people that are in the middle there. Now, I think when it comes to Charlottesville, and like I know a section of your audience, they're not going to be happy with it, but if I was there for the lulz, if I was there for the memes, or I was there legitimately for the statue, I would potentially have some issue and personally want some separation to the people throwing out like Nazi salutes, right? To the people chanting old Nazi slogans. Like there's a point where I'm like, I'm gonna peace out, right? And I think that there were people like that, right? 100%. But you can't deny seeing that number of people there for some really shitty reasons, right? I think that freaked out a lot of people. You can say the numbers being, kind of blown out of proportion. You can, I think, validly argue that we're seeing the rise in part to people filling a role that the media has said existed, and so they're just filling it up. But there's a real issue with that.
Yeah. Well, that's the part that I think is hard to decipher. How much is real versus how much is these guys that led this thing? And again, I'm just back on the grid, so I haven't even read enough about this specifically. But like, how much is just them doing exactly what will get the media to cover them? Exactly what will get their videos to go viral, exactly what will get them more Twitter followers and all that nonsense. And as someone that was just off the grid, seeing us led by all the online stuff now seems particularly dangerous to me right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, I think because extreme reactions to extremism, it's cyclical, 100%. I mean, you start seeing the KKK, you start seeing them right next to white nationalists, and then you have that poor woman that was hit by that car, right, and murdered. And then all of a sudden, for some people, that's going to make them go, well, Antifa, what they did here, it's not that bad. It's just a reaction, right? And we start off into this justification, but then we get stuck in these constant comparisons of why if you can't prove that someone is in the wrong, then you're just going to prove that the other person is also wrong, right? And that gets us nowhere. And it's extremely frustrating. And I understand it because it's an emotional response. It's kind of like we were talking about, it's like a punch to the brain. But I mean, if you said how do you make it better, I have no idea. I have zero clue on how you make it better.
Well, I think you make it better by pretty much doing what you're doing, which is giving room for a lot of this stuff to do.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully. But trying to do that. Is there ever a video or a story that you covered that you think you completely screwed up, like looking back?
There's probably.
That you really...
I live within like kind of a 36-hour window. Like before we were even filming and I was trying to talk about some of my past and I was just like, I have to like look off and try and remember. I mean, I think part of that is me trying to suppress stuff.
Yeah.
But I live within a 36-hour window. So if I rightly get called out for something, I 100% want to look into it because my goal is not to always be right. My goal is to try and tell the truth and to also grow personally.
Yeah. And it seems to be working.
So far.
From what I can...
Maybe when I'm like a little older, I'll be locked down in all my beliefs and that's just who I'll be till I die.
That would be an interesting shift in the business and in the content.
Yeah, the new slogan's gonna be, fuck everyone, I'm right.
What do you make of this Trump guy? We haven't said his name this whole time.
No, well,
here, I thought,
no, he's not Voldemort. Like, it's not like that.
But people think, I mean, there are people who literally don't want to mention his name. They're giving him the Voldemort effect.
Well, I think when you make the big claims, Trump's a racist, right? You automatically invalidate your argument to like 50% of the people you're talking to. Can he do things that is going to negatively affect a lot of people that aren't his skin color? Yes. I think that certain times, I think that he wants his way so much that sometimes he's not going to care that maybe the Constitution gets in his way. But I think we also see that with other world leaders. Is it this level of extremism, or more importantly, is it more in our faces every day, right? When I wake up every morning, at 6 o'clock. I know that Trump's probably tweeted an hour ago about something. Today it was that he was going to, I think it was allow for larger purchases for South Korea and Japan as far as military equipment. And so I feel like it's just more in everyone's face, right? We wouldn't see the past presidents saying like, DACA, exclamation mark. So I think, I'm not saying that it's right or wrong, right? A lot of people that support Trump see that as the best tool in the world. They don't have to wait for an official, fancy, stupid press conference. They're being told from the person they voted for immediately, right? Mm-hmm. Text straight to my phone. So I think it's just more in everybody's face. And so I think, I mean, he's a polarizing guy. I mean, a lot of people don't talk about it in the same way, but to a lesser extent, Obama was a very polarizing guy to a certain section of people. And I think you don't realize that a lot of people are just on the other end of that this time.
Yeah. What do you make of just sort of the way everyone deals with it? So yeah, you wake up any given morning, you know he's going to tweet something crazy. I don't think that ever I've really gone after one of the tweets specifically because it just seems like such theater and sideshow to me. Like they're all liars. Like I'm a firm believer that pretty much all politicians, especially at that high level, they're lying either by like there's just a system of half-truths and omissions constantly.
Right.
And yes, Obama lied the way that we liked presidents to lie, or said that, like
right.
The red line, which was a lie that I think the red line in Syria, that even though I didn't want to go to war in Syria, you laid out the red line, then
right, or you'll be able to keep your doctor no matter what.
You can keep it, right. That's a more specific example, right? You can keep your doctor.
Right.
They knew it was a lie, and they still did it, but he did it in the sort of, wearing a suit, speaking nicely,
right.
Giving long speeches, the notion of this, that. Like, they lied in a certain way. Trump's just lying in a different way. And it's sort of, it's gross and disgusting, and I care about ideas and thoughts and all that stuff. So I don't want the conversation to be about this, but I just see it as a different version of lying.
So a different version of lying. So I see that, but I also go, like, there's also something a little bit...
I'm not defending it, by the way. I'm just saying I just see it as that.
It's not like I would attack you for that or something. Yeah. No, because I think you're making me think that, the main difference then is that you have someone that's lying in a different way, but at the same time, half of their shtick is saying that other people are lying, right? And so like that adds like a different layer. I've talked about it in the past, but several times, like literally in tweets where he's saying, this is fake news, what he's saying is a lie. And I think that is a prime example of some of the stuff that's like really messed up and wrong. I'm not someone that wakes up going like, fuck Trump, right? How am I gonna skewer the guy today? And I end up finding myself having to defend them when they get attacked for stupid things. Like when people went after Melania Trump because she wore high heels, right? And they're like, they're gonna go to Texas because of Hurricane Harvey, and what you gonna do in heels? What's FLOTUS gonna do, right? whether it's Melania
right.
Or any other person ever. Like it's just frustrating. There is a reason to be bothered by a lot of the stuff that's happening, and I think the place I find myself the most frustrated is the things that are illogical or don't matter. Right.
Yeah.
So
and we're slammed with those. Those
yes.
are the ones we're slammed with.
Well, and that's right. That's kind of like the problem is when you stress out about these minor things and you give them, especially because of a 24-hour news cycle or the fact that so many of these organizations are so competitive and they're giving things that don't matter airtime compared to when they really mess up and it is a really big deal. You just take away how important the other thing is, right? And you end up just kind of hurting your own argument when you have the stronger argument because you're complaining about everything.
Yeah. How much do you think social media is just adding to the craziness? I don't even mean Trump's Twitter, but I mean just the general, like, just as I'm getting back on, like, just looking at that and seeing, the same people fighting about the same things. And it's like, does any of this matter? Does any of this actually
Well, then you're going to just
matter?
end up in some, like, existential thing, right? I mean, my whole view on life is that none of this kind of matters. While I exist and what I try and provide for like my family and everyone I interact with, I hope that I put more good into the world than I take. But as far as does any of it matter? The bickering, I don't know. Part of it's WWE bullshit, fake, like not fake fighting, but like meaningless fighting. Mm-hmm. And then there's the stuff where lives are going to be affected, right? So when we're talking about DACA today, right? That's like a real thing. Now, everyone complaining about it online? No, that's just noise, right? But then at the end of the day, you're talking about real lives, a real impact, right? So some of it matters, but a lot of it does not. It's the beauty and the downfall of giving everyone a massive megaphone.
Yeah, and I'd rather have it this way. I'd rather
Yeah.
have everyone have the chance to get their voice out. But of course, that does come with some stuff. Who are like just some people in general or organizations that you trust? Because I get that one all the time.
I don't trust
People
anyone,
that-
man. No, I don't.
Well, when you're doing research and you've got your guys looking at stories and everything, like
We look
how do
everywhere.
you-
We look everywhere. Even when we provide links to sources, we don't even include everything. We try to get as many different viewpoints and ways that something's covered as possible. Because sometimes there are places that miss things. Maybe they omitted it. Maybe people just think they omitted it. And then there's a completely different viewpoint, a completely different angle. And my goal is to kind of, as much as I can, cover a little bit of both sides in the sense of at least understanding where the angle is coming from, even if I massively disagree with it. But I mean, as far as, like, if we talked about individuals, I don't know if I would automatically say trust, where I respect or am interested in. Obviously, like, I'm doing this so you, to an extent, Dave, everyone knows that you're a crazy communist, blah, blah. No, we were talking earlier, Ben Shapiro, always fascinated by what he's going to say or his kind of like viewpoint. And then a few others that I don't want to call out by name, but yeah.
Isn't that funny? You don't want to call them out by name, even though you'd be probably saying something nice about them. But I get it, because then it puts this odd pressure.
Right.
That then it's like, oh, you've endorsed them, and now they screw up tomorrow, and it's like, ah!
Well, especially because you don't know everything about every single person, right? They're going to be like, well, in 1999, I'd be like, well, apparently I'm a Nazi now.
Yeah. What do you do to get out of the mess and the matrix and all that stuff?
So as of a week and a half ago, I've recently started riding my, real bike and then also a cycling bike. It's the only way that I can get energy anymore since I am way too overweight and I've stopped taking Adderall a long time ago. So it's like this beautiful burst of energy. So like right after we're done here, I'm gonna go home, knock out 45 minutes, slowly make my life a little better, both mentally and hopefully physically.
Does Adderall lead to jump cuts? Do you think, which came first, Adderall or jump cuts?
The jump cut.
Yeah.
The jump cut. The Adderall, I think it was right before I did my first tour. I initially got, just because I was having a hard time multitasking, but I think part of that was probably just I was putting too much on myself. But it's so incredibly easy to like, it's incredibly habit forming. In the first month that I stopped taking it, it was like moving through water.
Yeah.
It was rough.
Do you have ADD or something, or you? Or
I was prescribed the medication, and so they said I did.
Yeah.
But I think if you ever go to a doctor, it's one of the most overprescribed medications, easily. Although I will say in California, they're a little weird about it. Like you can only go month to month, whereas in Atlanta.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah. Whereas in Atlanta, you could get like several months. I don't know if the law has changed, but that was the biggest difference. And I was like, you guys are letting people smoke weed and you're freaking out about this? I don't know. Which was the reason I say it like that is it was so alien to me because I had lived in a place where it was obviously illegal.
Right. You are okay with weed though?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't smoke it anymore just because I feel like, especially now, I'm like always having to be in dad mode. I'm like, it's so weird. I'm so stressed about something going wrong, so I should probably smoke that, but I'm worried that if I smoke, I'm not going to be like there to be able to handle the situation.
Yeah.
And so that's why I've like stopped.
Speaking of dad mode, as you might have a second kid while we're doing this
yes.
right now. So your wife puts up DeFranco family videos.
Yes.
And I assume the new baby will be involved in this. Well, there's at least
Probably. He'll probably be there.
Yeah. Where do you try to draw that line of like how much of what you guys do is public versus private? Does she come to you and talk about any of this stuff?
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, like, we don't share a bunch. It's usually, I feel like she puts a lot of work into the editing, and I'm like really proud and impressed because I don't do any of that for myself anymore.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think it's going to be a bigger part of the conversation as our oldest gets older. Because I mean, YouTube's been around long enough. There have been family vloggers that have now, like, the kids have grown up and they're like a big part of the vlog. And it is definitely different. I know, and I don't want to mention them by name, but like there are YouTube families that have had to remove their kids from school, right? Because people were showing up to the school trying to either see them or take them.
Yeah.
And you also have to take into account if the kid actually wants to do it, right? And making it, and if it's what mom and dad are doing, not making it so they don't feel guilty if they don't want to, because I've seen examples of that as well. And that's not even taking into account that you're part of a family vlog, and then you're going into school with people that are watching your family vlog. And so it can make you like a celebrity, but if something horrible happens or something happens with your parents, everyone's gonna know about it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think I like sharing it because, or I like seeing it, because I loved that all of a sudden I saw a little GIF of my son when he was 6 months old, and I was like, oh wait, I think I know what video that's from, and I got to watch this video of my kid. Now I could do that personally. It seems like such a weird alien thought of why would I edit a video that I don't put out to the public or share, because, and I'm not trying to be cliche or corny in that way, but when you get used to sharing it with people, it almost ends up being like an extension of family, extended family, but family, where it's, but it does have this potential to become everyone criticizing your life. It's why I never fully jumped into, I'm going to be a full-on vlogger, because people talking about me is completely different than people talking about them thinking that my opinion is garbage, right? Completely different extremes.
Yeah. Wow, all right, wait, you gave me a couple of things there.
Sorry.
Oh, no, I wanted to back up.
I ramble through all my thoughts.
No, that was good, but you said something sort of, you kind of had a throwaway there that I thought was a great moment, that you don't do any of your editing anymore.
No.
Must have been a beautiful, beautiful moment. I mean, I know for me that when I've been able to take certain things off my plate and give it to my team, or just add different things, or focus more on you know, writing the direct message or whatever, like then I get to do what I'm supposed to be doing. That must have been a beautiful moment for you.
It was so scary. No, it was so scary, because the way that I used to edit the show, so you were talking about jump cuts, I would literally say a sentence, see if it worked. Say a sentence, see if it worked, because I edited in iMovie, and I think I recorded directly with, I think, the iMovie camera at first, or something I had connected that could read that camera, and yeah, I would just, sup guys, welcome to the show. Okay. Completely horrible process.
Right.
Like it's why the tone is different in the old videos, but I felt like I had control. At the time, I thought it was like my editing something special. And the moment I introduced people or brought in an editor, it was the best thing in the world, because it does free you up to just focus on that.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, the videos can be longer. You can focus more on the creative, make sure we're now fact checking.
Are you ever worried that you're going to hand them something and they're editing your words, that you know they're going to mangle something? Or that's the fear part.
Well, I mean, I always review. Oh my God, yeah. No, I try to at least. Like even today, I was like, guys, we got to do this early. I got to get out, get everything up. But no, I mean, I'm sure my editors have like a fuck Phil folder for like if I was ever like, you're fired, all of a sudden there'd be like a 3-minute long montage of me saying like lines that I ended up going, cut that. But no, I mean, it's you have to open yourself up, be a little vulnerable, especially once you bring people into the process, because especially with what we're talking about, I feel like, I don't know about you, but I'm a little fluid with my thinking on some things, and so like as I'm covering it, I'm trying to digest the whole situation, and so as I'm filming, my opinion might change on something fresh, especially if some new information comes out. So, and that's also, you have to worry about that, because then you're doing something based off of information that's not fully updated. Right.
And then you know damn well sure that someone's going to find a video you did 5 years ago saying, oh, he said that, it was the reverse.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, yeah, I evolved? How about that?
Well, that's what, every now and then I'll get into like an argument with someone and they'll be like, look at this video you did 7 years ago where you said this kind of off-color thing. And I was like, well, 1, you took it out of context. 2, I was kind of a dick. I would say things that I thought were like super edgy and that's how you make jokes, and it's just horrible. Like
I saw a video that you did from many years ago, something about being the type of feminist you are or something, and you had some joke about something about, it was like some sex joke about women or something. Like it was just a joke. And
maybe.
I don't even remember exactly what it was, but it was like, I saw somebody attacking you over it, and it's like, all right, so the guy changed.
There's always something. I don't know. I don't know what the specific was, so I'd be able to like comment on that specifically because of my 36-hour memory. But I I don't know.
36-hour memory these days is actually quite long for what's going on in the real world. All right, let's shift a little bit because, so this episode, so I've been trying to get you on forever and we had to get schedules to match up and everything, but Learn Liberty, who's one of our partners, did partner up with us to do this. And when they usually send us professors or something, you've never worked with Learn Liberty or had any contact with them ever, but they said to me, if Phil wants to do the show, we'd love to sponsor the show. And I said that to you, and you said immediately whatever they give like an honorarium to our guests. Usually it's for travel, sometimes people coming from other countries or whatever. But you said immediately, I don't want the money. I want the money to go to the PKD Foundation.
Oh yeah, the PKD cure.
So I want to talk about that a little bit. So tell me about PKD and why you care about it.
Well, I care about it for two reasons. My dad has it. PKD is polycystic kidney disease. Essentially, to kind of simplify it, your kidneys are eventually going to fail, and so my dad had it. He ended up losing function in his kidneys. He had to be on dialysis for a while. I have it, and my kids could have it because it's passed down through great carriers like myself. But no, I mean, it sucks. I don't know. I never know how to talk about it because it's such a depressing thing to me, and I always try and put that stuff out of my mind and think that life's never gonna catch up with me. But no, I mean, it's just, people's kidneys are going to fail. It affects a lot of people. PKD Cure is out there trying to help fund research. There are PKD walks. And I also just didn't want to take your money.
Well, they wouldn't have been giving the money to me, by the way. They just give it to the guests. So it's not that I get it. But
I wanted to be on here for, I don't know. It sounds weird, but if I took money for being here, it'd feel dirty. I want to be here.
Yeah. For the record, we don't pay our guests ever. This is just when Learn Liberty does things. You know,
why you lying, Dave?
Dinner or something.
No, we have to. Why you lying, Dave? We have to have some drama so that you actually. So we can boost each other.
We should create drama. All right, let me figure out ways we can finish with a little drama.
I'm excited for your diss track.
Here we go. Let's try to create some drama. Do you think the social justice thing is just imploding altogether? I think it's.
What do we say about talking about generalities?
Yeah.
I think there is a problem, right? Moving to California pushed me more center. Being online and seeing how crazy things were getting as far as things you would label SJW, right? That pushed me more center. Talking in a video 6 years ago and using the wrong pronoun accidentally on a story about a trans person pushed me more center and further, not even center, just pushed me away.
Yeah.
And when you see things like we covered I'm gonna mess up her name, the trans model who just got booted from a L'Oreal campaign because she went on this rant where she said like it's all white people violence, and then she said she was taken out of context because she was talking around the events of Charlottesville, and it's like no, let's say it's not even in a it's in a vacuum or it's not. You're still, no matter if someone's an ally, you're still using this all-encompassing language, and you can try and justify it, but it ends up pushing people away, right? People that could be your allies. And I'm not saying tone yourself down for people to like you, right? Just understand that if you're going to use all-encompassing language, that it's not great. It's not great for your cause. Yeah. But as far as is it imploding, I don't know. I mean, as far as generalities, I'd hope that people stop being ridiculous, but care about actual people, right? I think that's the goal, right? I think that it then becomes this fucking crazy toxic thing where you have, Evergreen State University, where you have places like that of students going up to a teacher and saying that because he's talking with his hands, which, oh my God, I would be committing a hate crime, that's a microaggression, and see, this is how you do it. That's insane. It's insane. It doesn't need to be that extreme.
Yeah, well, I guess by imploding, that's what I meant. That the hysteria and those types of things they're just pushing good people center, which I think ultimately is actually good. So yeah, there's always going to be a certain amount of hysteria on both extremes, of course. But that the more there is, the more you make decent people. You know, a guy who accidentally screws up a pronoun, who isn't a transphobe or anything like that. it makes them reevaluate and go, maybe this isn't exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Yeah, by being extreme, you make extremists. Like it's something we said earlier, and it's just true, in my opinion.
Yeah. Oh, these are all your opinions?
Just my opinion.
You should
Leaving
be
the door
every
open.
sentence with that.
I'm leaving the door open.
Yeah. I feel we should finish on free speech in general, because we didn't say it once, and you're a big free speech guy.
Right.
Basically, I think you're a free speech absolutist, right? Is there?
I think so, yeah. I'm trying to think. I was like, I'm so intrigued by the thought, and I think I've heard your opinion on it, of because people are going around and they have the swastikas on, because it is a symbol for like this horrible group, this horrible thing, that somehow then changes the conversation on free speech. What are your thoughts?
So I'm just hearing this, literally, just as I just got back on. I read one article about this morning, about this idea that these ideas are so inherently linked to violence, right? That they in and of themselves are violence, that the image or the words that these people are saying. I don't agree.
Right.
I don't agree. It sucks. As I've mentioned many times, I had family members on both sides of my family die in the Holocaust. I grew up around Holocaust survivors. Right. So this is not something that I hold lightly. Any of what these people were doing in Charlottesville, any of this, these are disgusting people that are doing this. Do they have the right to say and do horrible things? Actually, the Supreme Court has affirmed that right with the march in Skokie, Illinois. So it sucks. Like, it doesn't feel good. You know what I mean? Like, I want to say something to you that'll make me feel good about it. Yeah, fuck these guys and get out there and punch a Nazi. You know, like all these Twitter warriors want you to punch Nazis. They never do it, but they all want you to punch Nazis.
Well, at least two have.
Well, I get touche. But it doesn't feel good. But I don't want to trade something that doesn't feel good to sacrifice what I believe is the most important thing here, which is free expression.
And I think you hit on a really good point, is it doesn't feel good. And that's why it's one of those things of, when you say a free speech absolutist, I'm like, yes, but this one thing has me feeling dirty.
Now look, but there are legal reasons why you can sort of hedge that a little bit, which is if he's up there screaming "kill the Jews" or "hang black people." Now there's a criminal part to this, the call to violence.
Right.
But short of that, I think you have to let these. I think you've said it somewhere. I read a quote in something about that. If you stifle these people, you'll always make them stronger. I mean, that's sort of
right. And I think that there's also this weird line that you end up creating. There's a YouTuber, I forget his real name, but he goes by the name of Count Dankula, and he is.
Yes, I know the work of Count Dankula.
Yes. No, and he's having to go, and I don't know if it got postponed. I know it's supposed to be sometime around now, but he's facing jail time because he put out a video of him jokingly making his dog do the Nazi salute.
What, facing jail time where? What country?
I believe.
Is this guy in?
Is it Scotland?
Oh, okay, but it's not the United States.
No.
Okay, so this is one of those.
No, but so that's why you look elsewhere, and you're like, oh shit.
You see what happened.
Right, and so it's like, and so that's why you end up caring about the line, right, of holding on something, because then it becomes that, which I will say, it's distasteful in context. It was a really stupid joke, because his whole argument was, his girlfriend loves the dog so much that he wants to ruin the dog, and so the best way to ruin something is to make it a Nazi, right? In context, it's like, okay, but then outside of that, there's such a negative feeling that when do you start doing things that are just ridiculous? Like the fact that he's facing jail time, I think, is ridiculous. I'm open to other people being sensitive about it, being offended by it, but the fact that a court can go, that's illegal, that's crazy. And so I think that's why I try to, at all times, understand that free speech should be that open, no matter how despicable we think it is. Not the dog, the actual Nazis.
And it just sucks. Like, and that's the part of the conversation that I think people are always afraid to have. Like, everyone, if you ask anyone, are you for free speech? Yes. But then the second you get them to a place that's uncomfortable for them, then they say, well, that's the one I can't.
Right.
But it's like, it really is sucky. But you can't be calling for violence. You can't obviously be committing violence. But short of that, you got to let people do. Otherwise, you actually make them the victim, which is what they really want more than anything else. You know, they want to trade in that victimhood, and that's I don't want to trade in that. Phil DeFranco, I feel I should leave you to your wife.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Unless your producer is the worst person in the world, I don't think she had the baby.
We said we were going to give you a fair warning, but what if they felt this was so gripping?
So gripping.
That you have another kid.
That I've missed the birth of my child. I would have to make everything I do from here on out to destroy your show.
Oh, man. You got a lot of.
But it'd be great promo. It'd be great promo for you.
That would be great
promo.
You do what you got to do. All right. Well, I'm so glad we finally did this. Now I know I'm going to bump into you halfway down the street, probably at the end.
Maybe
of the day.
One day if I ever go outside.
Yeah. But now you got this indoor bike too.
Yeah. So I get to just stay inside, air conditioned. Since I've lived in California for like 7 years, and 100 degrees is just unbearable to me.
Yeah.
It's made me so weak.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure, which I expected it to be. And for more on Phil, you can find him making sense of the madness. Is that too much pressure?
No, I like that. That might be my new slogan.
He's making sense of the madness on the Philip DeFranco Show, which is right here on the YouTube.